Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number LB4310C-450-633. This is a 4.5 inch by 4.5 inch single acting spring hinge, full mortise, contract grade, lube bearing steel base, satin brass plated. This is, in short terms, a standard spring hinge. This is Bommer's spring hinge that is going to be something you're going to see on 1 3/4 door, wood door, fire rated doors, solid core wood doors, hollow metal doors, steel frames. 4.5 by 4.5 is a giveaway. The contract, the thickness of the leaf is a giveaway. The fact that it's a spring hinge tells me it's possibly a fire-rated door, very likely is. Let's dissect a part number. First of all, LB stands for lube bearing. That is a maintenance-free sort of concealed bearing construction exclusive to Bommer. The lube bearing is. The 4310 means a few things. It means that it is a square corner hinge, template pattern on the screw holes, 134 thousandths of an inch leaf thickness, and the C stands for that as well. Full mortise. You can see from the swag on the hinge leaves that when the leaves are brought parallel, they're meant to be mortised flush to the frame and to the edge of the door. The 450 means it's 4.5 inches tall and 4.5 inches wide. So this is a 4.5 by 4.5. The 633 means two things. It means it's steel base and that it is satin brass finish on a solid steel hinge. Okay. Full mortise, contract grade, UL listed for fire door applications, rated for 1 million cycles. It's non-handed. You can use it on left hand or right hand doors. Self-lubricating bearings, that's the lube bearing portion. ANSI templated screw hole pattern. There is a link below this video to what is called the template. Let's review that now. You can see from the template all of the other important dimensions regarding the screw holes that will, if you're unsure of what you have or if this will work, you can always refer to that document. But this is called the template pattern, the standard pattern. Especially if it's a hollow metal frame, it's going to be made for these locations. This hinge is made for those locations. That template gives you a couple of other additional dimensions that might be important to you. The margin between the hinge leaves when they're brought parallel, and etc. If you have any questions on that template, feel free to reach out to us. We're going to move on now. This is a spring hinge. It's going to be commonly used in those applications where the door needs to be self-closing, either for reasons of code compliance, like if it's a fire-rated door, or draft control, or smoke control. Or it could just be the garage door on your home, and you know what? Speaking from actual experience, your kids leave the doors open. I just want the door to be closed. That's all. You know, it could be that simple as well. Available from Bommer in several different finishes. Before we move on, all the common satin chrome, polished brass, prime coat zinc, brass, satin brass, antique brass, oil rub bronze, polished bronze, satin bronze. Bommer can pretty much do anything on this. Given enough lead time, there's no doubt they can do any standard finish, and even a lot of those that are not real standard, or common, I should say. So, the door being a spring hinge, going to close the door. There is a guide below this video to how many hinges you should be using based on the door size and weight. So they're saying if you've got a 115-pound door, 2 spring hinges and 1 regular hinge. And that application, in my experience, is the most common. 2 spring hinges, 1 regular hinge. If you're dealing with a hollow metal frame, maybe a steel door that is on a stairwell of a 5-story condo building, 2 spring hinges, 1 regular hinge. You might have the same condo building where you've got a fire-rated wood door into the unit, 2 spring hinges, and 1 regular hinge would be incredibly common. And if you've got a situation that calls for just the 2 spring hinges like we've discussed, you can certainly use a regular 4.5 inch ball bearing hinge, because it's compatible with these because the axis of pivoting is compatible. with a regular full mortise contract, like a BB5000 from Bomber is what you'd use it with. Now, if your door is about 150 pounds, 3 spring hinges is what Bomber calls for. If you're doing 2, put them at the top and the middle. Some people say put them at the bottom. That's wrong. Top and the middle is where you want to have the spring hinges. This, now, however, I'm a fan of all spring hinges or more than what you think you might need. You might have a really light door, a hollow core 1 3/4 door. There's no doubt that one of these spring hinges will get it to the closed position because of the weight. The problem is, will it get it latched? And that's really the problem that you have with spring hinges. In my opinion, spring hinges aren't really the ideal solution to close a door. Doors should be hydraulically controlled. Floor closers, surface closers, overhead closers. Some way to better control it, because you need to be able to control how that door moves. With a spring, you know, it's all that stored up energy, and then it just closes. Having more spring hinges than less allows you to get a greater amount of success when you're installing and then setting the tension on these spring hinges, because when you've got more spring hinges, you've got more stored energy to the point where when you open the door, it's got to start from a dead stop pretty much and then get moving, you know, move 100+ pounds through the closing cycle, but have enough residual stored energy in the springs to not only get it to the closed position but latched, overcoming all that air pressure that you're going to encounter, the weight of the door, the resistance of the latch bolt hitting the strike plate of the frame. I liken it to a tugboat. They don't go very fast, but they can pull a lot of weight. And in my opinion, having lots of spring hinges is like being a tugboat. You can set the tension such that the door isn't slamming shut, because people will set the spring tension so high just to get it moving, to hope that it has enough energy to limp through and get latched. Greater success rate is what you're going to have when you've got additional or reserve spring power on hand. And if it's a fire door, it needs to close every time. Fire doors must be both self-closing and self-latching, and those are requirements. Now, the instructions on how to set it, if this hinge comes in a box, it'll be printed on the back of the box. If it doesn't, no worries. It's in the installation instructions below this video. What you're going to get with every hinge is a tension rod. Not with every hinge, but with every order. You'll get a tension rod, and with every hinge, you're going to get a tension pin. This order happens to have 2 hinges on it, so there's 2. And what you basically do, when the tension collar is pointed up, there's only one tension collar, you insert the tension rod into one of the holes, and you turn it clockwise. And as you turn it clockwise, you reveal new holes. And it's into one of those new holes that you insert the tension pin. 3 holes max is what's recommended from Bomber. You don't want too much tension on these. It will break the spring if you have too much tension on there, or it'll warp the spring so that it doesn't work correctly. And that's it. Like I said, left hand or right hand doors comes back the same way. A fine example of regular, Bomber material. Last thing I'd like to point out to you is the Bomber logo. It says Made in USA, a fact that Bomber is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. Any questions on the Bomber number LB4310C-450-633 or any other Bomber product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.